Here is planet Earth. It is a beautiful planet on one of the edges of the Milky Way galaxy. And although there are likely about 400 billion planets in our galaxy, Earth is very special. Earth is the only planet that we know of that has water in all three states: gas, liquid, and solid. And the water is abundant. Water is essential for life. And here in the Fraser Valley, we have a lot of water, allowing for green grass and beautiful soccer fields to grow and life to flourish. We easily take it for granted, but water is a wonderful gift, and it follows a truly miraculous path. The water cycle is really one of the things that fascinates me most in science. And here in BC, a lot of water falls on the mountains and drains down streams and eventually comes into the Fraser River. Here the Fraser River cuts north of Chilliwack, moves downhill past Abbotsford and Langley, Surrey. It eventually drains into the Strait of Georgia and into the Pacific Ocean. But here, it mixes with the salty water and becomes undrinkable. This water cannot sustain human life. And we also cannot grow our crops out on the ocean. So how does God overcome this? Without some kind of system in place, the land would dry up and life on land would die out. We are so used to learning about the water cycle that we easily forget how ludicrous it is that God just picks up millions of liters of water out of the ocean, only the fresh water, and transports it thousands of kilometers overland and gently distributes it across the continent. It nourishes the plants and animals and allows for life to be abundant. But fresh water isn't evenly distributed across the globe. There are places where fresh water is abundant, like the Great Lakes, which hold about 20% of the Earth's surface fresh water. A lot of fresh water is also found underground, and the majority of our fresh water is locked up in the form of ice and snow, especially in our polar ice caps. Here fresh water is abundant, but it is not readily available. Other parts of the world face even more difficulty. North Africa, the Great Saharan Desert, covers about 25% of the continent. Water is very scarce, and so life is very scarce. Where there is water, the evidence is clearly seen. The Nile River. Its banks used to flood over every summer due to melting snow and heavy rains in the Ethiopian mountains to the south. As the waters flooded the banks, the land would spring to life. Now the flow of water is controlled by the Aswan Dam, which was built for electricity in the 1960s, and it doesn't do its annual flooding. Where there is little water, there is little life. South of the Sahara, water is more abundant and the continent turns green. East Africa holds 3 of the larger freshwater lakes in the world: Malawi to the south, Tanganyika in the middle, and Lake Victoria in the north. But freshwater sources don't necessarily mean that water is clean or accessible. In 2019, Credo students raised money to build wells in Zambia so that students and their families could have access to clean drinking water. One of those schools was Hoya School in Chasifu, Zambia. Clean water is a wonderful gift, and whenever you take a drink of clean water, it is good to thank the Lord for such an important gift. Lake Malawi, Tanganyika, and Victoria aren't the only large lakes in the world. The fullest and the deepest is in Russia. Lake Baikal. It holds over 1,700 different species of living organisms, including the world's only freshwater seal. But what are some reasons why freshwater is not evenly distributed across the earth? South America. Here we see an odd pattern. On the west coast of South America is the country of Chile, with dry deserts in the north and lush greenery in the south. Why is that? In the north, the ocean currents are cool and don't allow for much evaporation. The air coming inland is dry, and there is very little rain. To the south, the water is warmer and allows for more evaporation, and thick clouds bring water over the land. But why is the land on the east, the right side, so dry? The answer to that is the Andes, great big mountains that block the movement of moisture to the east side of the continent. This is called the rain shadow effect. Land behind the mountains is blocked from getting clouds thick with water because it all comes down in the form of rain as the clouds rise over the Andes. This leaves one side soaking wet with moisture and the other side a desert. The same effect is found all over the world. Here in BC, there are also rain shadows. Vancouver Island. One of the wettest places in North America is Henderson Lake. It receives well over 6 meters of rain each year, while a short distance away, the Saanich Peninsula receives only about 60 centimeters of rain each year. But the rains do come, and life here on planet Earth is amazingly diverse and abundant. There's something very special about life on this pale blue dot. To some, we are merely a cosmic accident. But hopefully to you, you see that Earth is beautifully designed by a marvelous Creator.